doing is each of these elements is connected to two of the main meridians, and each meridian, of course, has an organ. And so, what you're going to be doing in this meditation is you're going to be focusing on an organ, and I'll tell you what it is, so it won't be hard. And color of that system. And there's also a sound. So, one of the things that we do, and I'll talk you through it, it'll all be pretty obvious as we go, is we're going to take the negative emotion of each organ, transform it to its positive pole, and then just sort of let that resonate in your body. One of the reasons why I love this, besides the fact that I could be in a really crummy mood when I start and I'm in a pretty good mood when I finish, but one of the things that I love about it as a Westerner with, the typical kind of, busy mind is it's an easy meditation because you're focusing on something. So you don't have to struggle to like get rid of your thoughts. You just keep doing whatever the direction is and you get there. So what I did in your handout is I wrote down this stuff so that if you want to go back later, I mean, you could just listen. I believe we're going to record the meditation. So you could just listen to it and it would take you through it. Or if you wanted, you could have your little cheat sheet and do it on your own. It's pretty easy. So that's kind of the plan. It's a lot of fun. There's no wrong way to do anything. So just have a good time. The one thing I am going to do that is kind of a teaching exercise is just to get us launched. I'm going to do a little meditation where I have us connecting with the earth and connecting with the heavens and joining them in our bodies. And so you don't need to do all of that when you want to do this for yourself. If you're in a hurry, if you only have 5 minutes, just make the sounds, visualize the color, and try to tune into the positive emotion. Sometimes you can just do even one sound too. Like, so for example, if you're really angry or irritable and you're just thinking, oh my God, I got to transform this before I, kill one of the poor people who are living with me, you can just take that emotion, which would be anger, irritability, and transform it. So I would be visualizing, for example, my liver, which is right here under my ribs on the right side. I would be visualizing beautiful green. And then what I would do is make the sound, which is shh, shh, like a mother soothing a child, right? So this cheat sheet tells you the elements. So there's fire, which is associated with the heart. Its color is red, and it's about the negative emotion could be one of two things. It could be apathy, or where you that kind of depression where you just feel no joy, or it could also be shock. So one of the things that's interesting is when we get shocks, like could be even a positive shock. You get the phone call and you find out your kid who's been missing in action is resurfaced. That's a shock. People have heart attacks because of that.
Althea, you're on mute.
Althea, you're muted.
Oh, okay. Now can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, something happened. The screen went away. And now it's back. Okay. So anyway, I won't go through the whole cheat sheet, but it's there. So let's just kind of launch in. So what I want to do is have everybody get comfortable, however you are happiest. You can sit cross-legged, you can sit in a chair, you could even lay down. That's fine. And just kind of close your eyes and begin to breathe. And as you breathe in, I want you to take a deep breath in, letting your chest expand, your belly, all the way down into the floor of your pelvis if you can. And when you're all the way full without pausing, just release the breath. When you're all the way empty, without pausing, let the breath flow back in. Just keep doing that breath for a moment. And you can take the time to just notice how your energy feels right now. If you feel still busy from the day, or maybe you're starting to relax into your evening, whatever it is, you don't have to judge it, just feel that energy. And then allow yourself to imagine the very center of the earth. You can imagine that sort of beautiful fire at the very center of the earth. And imagine that flame moving upward through layers of sand and rock and soil, moving up and connecting with the soles of your feet, connecting with bubbling spring, we call it. It's our connection to the energies of the earth. And that energy is what powers your body. It's the life force that comes from the earth. We call it Zhur. And you can imagine it flowing into the bones of your feet, lighting them up and flowing up the bones of the lower legs, through the knees, all the way up through the thigh bones, and coming to the tip of your tailbone, spreading up through the sacrum and out through the bones of the pelvis. And you can imagine the very center of all the bones glowing, glowing with the marrow, the life force, and letting it flow upward through the sacrum into the spine. And you can imagine your whole spine just beginning to light up in the center of your spine, the spinal cord lighting up with Zhur, with life force, your deep immune system lighting up with this power from the earth, spreading out into the ribs, up into the shoulder blades, collarbones, flowing down your arms, the upper arms, two bones of the forearms, the little bones of the wrists, and the long bones of the hands and fingers, lighting up the center of the bones, the pulsing marrow, and flowing up bones of the neck into the brain stem, into the bones of the skull. And you can, if you like, just gently, keeping your eyes closed, but gently roll your eyes upward and imagine you're circling this life force in the brain, bringing new energy, new life force into your brain. And this life force, this deep immune system, this surging energy of the earth also flows into your kidneys, sort of in your back at waist height. And that is where the Zhur, the life force, is housed, in the element of water, the kidneys and bladder. But just for a moment more, imagining your beautiful skeleton glowing, pulsing with this life force, and then emanating outward in a light white mist, the Po, the breath body, which also comes from the earth. In some traditions, we call it the ether body, and it flows through every cell, every tissue, bringing heat and warmth and awareness. flows into the tendon muscle channels that run just under your skin. The superficial immune system blocks any negative energies and goes just beyond your skin to protect you. And you can take a breath or two and also image this energy flowing into your lungs, this beautiful white light of the Po, the breath body, flowing into your lungs where it is housed, the element of metal. And as you imagine this glowing white light in your lungs, you can also take another breath or two, taking in the energies from the breath body of the planet, the atmosphere, taking that in, this other connection that we have with our planet that powers our physical form. And then reaching out with your mind, imagine somewhere out in deeps of space, the Wu Qi, the primordial force, the energy that dances in everything, the energy of creation. And you can imagine flowing from that deep place, carrying your immortal essence, your Shen, your spirit, the part of you that has always been and always will be. And with it, the E, which is the developing body that you are developing lifetime after lifetime, all your memories, your lessons, and flowing through the stars, gathering the energy of the stars, coming to the solar system and forming around it like the seed is formed around the embryonic plant. Your Hun, your personality body of this life, and that body gathers the impress of the planets, the sun and the moon in your own unique configuration, your own unique being. And you can imagine all that pouring into the Big Dipper, which is above your head, flowing down into the top of your head, into your third eye, and then penetrating directly inward to the center of the head, the pineal gland, descending behind your nose, mysterious pass. And you can put the tip of your tongue on the roof of your mouth for a moment and feel it flowing through your tongue, down through your throat, and into your heart. Heaven and earth joined in the heart. Then leaving your Shen in the heart where it is housed, that divine purpose, the divine part of you. You can let the Hun, your personality body, flow down into the liver, which is tucked up under the ribs on the right side. The Hun, where it is housed. And finally, the E, your developing body of life, descends into your belly, to the element of earth, the stomach and the spleen. Now we'll begin the actual 6 healing sounds by starting to imagine this beautiful red light right in the center of your chest. And what you can do is begin to transform any sense of disconnect or apathy or that sort of depression when you don't feel yourself. And you can, or shock, the kind of shock that makes you feel numb or disconnected. Transform that, and you might think of a moment when you just feel joy. Joy, that sensation of, I'm doing exactly what I'm here to do. When you feel connected to your own purpose. Take a moment, remember a moment when you felt that way and feel it as clearly as you can, that joy. while imaging this beautiful red light. And the sound that we make is like the sound of laughing. It's ha. So we can make that sound together while imaging this red light and trying to really sense that joy filling you. And the sound is ha, 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 ha. And sending an inner smile to the element of fire, to your heart, this part of you that houses your joyousness, that allows you to feel connected to divine purpose, to all of creation. And allow your awareness to spread outward into your lungs. And you can image a beautiful white light, the light of metal, the element of purity and discrimination. And you can begin to transform any sense of sadness. It's not so much personal sadness, it's that kind of heaviness when you just feel like, oh boy, things are not going well. That kind of heaviness or sadness for the world or for others. I think a lot of us have felt that lately. And you can transform it now to a sense of lightness, that that feeling you have when you wake on a day and for whatever reason you just feel like it's going to be a good day and it's going to be okay. It's that kind of faith, if you will, faith that all things are unfolding as they should. So taking some breaths and imaging this beautiful white light, sense of faith and lightness. The sound we make, I like to think of it as like bleeding off that heaviness. It's like when you have to bleed your radiators. The sound is, and as you make that sound, just let that heaviness become light. And allowing yourself to feel that sense of lightness. Send an inner smile, the element of metal to your lungs, the part of you that takes in the air each day and brings you new life, new vitality. And then allow your awareness to descend down to your right side under the ribs where your liver is. And you're going to contact the energy or the element of wood. Wood, of course, governs the way our energies flow in our spiritual beings, our emotional beings. And you can image this radiant green light, the light of leaves, new leaves in the spring unfurling. And you can begin to transform any sense of irritability or frustration or anger, those feelings that we have when our energies are blocked, when they can't flow smoothly. So you're going to image that and you're going to begin to transform it into that kind of free flowing energy that is patient, is tolerant, a kind of openness to things just happening in whatever way they need to happen. You might think of a moment when you felt that and imaging that beautiful green light and holding on to that feeling of letting things flow, letting things flow. The sound we make, calming our frustrated little huns, is shh, 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 like the wind moving in the trees and sending an inner smile to the element of wood, to this wonderful emotional part of ourselves that allows us to experience the world, have feelings and emotions. Just sending an inner smile to that part of yourself. And allowing your energy to move sideways into the center, stomach and spleen, the element of earth. And the element of earth is, it's that part of us that takes in the outside world, sometimes is food. And we digest that food and take what's nourishing, release what isn't. Or it might be ideas or information, experiences. And what happens is we want to balance any sense of anxiety or stuckness, that kind of rumination when you keep chewing on something and chewing on it and you can't let go of it and you're kind of stuck. You're going to transform that and transform it into a sense of lively curiosity, sympathy, interest in the outside world and others. Just that kind of curiosity about what's coming next, readiness to let something more come in. And the sound we make is a sound like an owl. It's a sound of whoo, whoo. And of course, the owl is an amazing predator. It can digest anything. And it's also that creature of liminal spaces. It flies in twilight areas. So we're going to transform all that shadowy stuff, make it into usable energy, curiosity, readiness. And so the sound is ho, 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 ho. Woo. And sending an inner smile to the element of earth, stomach and spleen, clearing any blockage. Feeling gratitude for this part of us that takes in so much. And allowing your awareness to move to the element of water, the kidneys, that stores our deep energies, our life force. And you can image a beautiful dark blue, like the blue of deep waters. And you want to transform any sense of fear or overwhelm, that feeling of, ugh, I just can't do it. And you want to transform it into a sense of stamina, um, resolution, will, the ability to, as I like to say, keep on trucking. So, imaging that beautiful blue of deep waters and the sound we make, like the little engine that could, if you know that story from childhood, is choo, 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 choo. And if you make that sound, you'll feel your kidneys literally bounce. Choo, 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 choo. And sending an inner smile to the element of water. Gives us our physical vitality, our life force, and the courage to do things in the world. And then let us return once more for a moment to the element of fire which harmonizes and directs all of the other elements. And we're going to visualize a beautiful red light rolling down from the top of your head all the way down to the soles of your feet. And as it does that, as it passes through you, it's harmonizing all 5 elements within ourselves, harmonizing fire and water and metal and wood and earth into a harmonious whole, harmonizing our 5 spirits or bodies, if you will. So imaging that red rolling light, the sound we make is he, 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 he. And taking a moment and feeling your field vibrating, clear, filled with wholesome energies, and thinking again of the beautiful fire in our heart that is connected to the source of all things. Thinking of the white, beautiful light in the lungs that connects us to the breath body of the planet, the atmosphere itself, and that brings us air to create energies for our body. that protects us by streaming a light network just beneath the skin and just beyond it, protecting us from pathogens and germs and negative energies of any kind. And the imaging the vital, lively green of wood in the liver, this emotional part of ourselves that interacts with the world and has all sorts of feelings about it. The wisdom of earth that allows us to digest our experiences and take good from them, that helps us to develop the developing body of life that we create through all of our experiences. And water, that connection to the earth itself, to the very powers of the earth itself, the powers that give us our physicality in this world. And taking a moment to feel the clarity and the beauty of everything that is within you. Namaste. So that's the basic exercise. Kind of crazy, but fun. Any questions?
Wow.
Did you make all those sounds from your own throat?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Oh,
Sound is so amazing because it transforms us. And I really encourage you to play with this. Like, and you could just, anytime you're having, like, whenever I'm angry, I just start going, shh, shh, shh. It's amazing, you know?
Yeah.
And one of the things that I try to do as I teach this exercise is to make people have a sense of why, what sound? I mean, doesn't it make sense? That's what a mother says to her little baby. Shh, you know?
yes.
We all instinctively do it, right? And of course, if you laugh enough, sooner or later, everybody will start laughing. They can't help it. It's
Right.
infectious, you know? And so, but this is probably one of the more useful exercises I've ever learned because it really does clear you of all kinds of negativity.
Yeah.
That's a really good one, Althea. I've done your middle pillar with you, but I've never done this one. This is very
Yeah. And the middle pillar is a sort of a hermetic version of the same thing. But what I like about this exercise, especially for beginners, is you're busy. So you don't have time for your mind to wander. You're too busy, like, you know, trying to remember that color and feeling the feeling and, you know, making the noise. By the end of it, you're pretty calm.
I also felt that the sounds, the kind of, when you're making those sounds and I was trying to do it, it just kind of clears your head of a lot of things. So it's good to have a mind without too many thoughts.
Yes, yes. And it's very interesting that I studied with a man who was a brain scientist when I was in my 30s. And one of the things that was interesting is he had an exercise where you're taking your tongue and you're making all sorts of movements with your tongue and relaxing your tongue and relaxing your tongue and doing all sorts of movements with your eyes and your jaw and your eyes. And, you know, by the end of it, he called the exercise entering the silence. And by the end of it, your mind was empty. And the reason is if you relax the muscles of the eyes enough, it's very hard to think in images. And if you relax the structures of the vocal cords and the throat, it's very hard to think in words. So that was a hypnotic technique.
Wow.
It was fascinating. But I think sound is much more than that. Sound is about vibration. Sound moves matter. And that's why all great spiritual traditions work with it. Like, you know, mantra yoga is a huge part of the Vedic tradition. And for the same reason, the sounds just change you.
you get to the point where it almost starts to approach the throat singers.
Oh yeah,
Your
Yeah.
sound
do
going
that.
in. You kind
Yeah,
of
that happens.
pretty
I
amazing.
never force it though. If it happens when I'm doing the stuff, then I just go, whatever, I let it happen. But I don't force it. But when I was doing middle pillar all those years ago when we were doing it, Allison, that's when that first started happening to me. Because Hebrew is such a resonant language, and you go, and after a while your voice just starts doing stuff. And somebody said to me once, I was working over somebody and they said, oh, you do, Tibetan throat singing. And I was like, I do? It's news to me. So it was funny.
But I had to actually turn off my video because you said, to be comfortable. And I realized that after some time I was sprawled on the ground, and I cannot tell you how relaxed I was. And I just had to turn off the video. There was no way I could let anyone see how relaxed I was.
That's great.
But
That's great.
yeah, it was, I mean, it didn't feel like, it doesn't feel like we did it for very long. But you feel so relaxed.
Yes, and that's a good thing. Like there are some kinds of meditation where we don't do that. Like if you've ever done Zen meditation and the master walks around with a stick, and if you start to like slump a little, he whacks you. This is not that meditation. Because we want actually part of what this is about is being embodied, letting ourselves be embodied, and also being aware that when we say body, like I have a body, I don't have a body, I have 5 bodies. It's a intersection of these 5 different bodies.
Wow.
So that's an interesting, I could do a whole lecture on that, but
That's in the ancient Egyptian quite a bit too, isn't it?
yes. One of the part of my life's work has been comparing these traditions. If you ever want to read Livia Cohen, who's the big Taoist academic philosopher, she published a book called Internal Alchemy, and it's 11 chapters on Taoist alchemy. But she asked me to write the 12th chapter, in which I did the cross-cultural parallels between Taoism and Hermeticism. And of course, Hermeticism came out of ancient Egypt. And it also is a 5-body tradition and has all of the same stuff, So that's one thing that really fascinates me is, and especially, the Vedic tradition, the Taoist tradition, the Hermetic tradition, they all say the same things. And they have very similar exercises, they're just each is adapted a little bit to that particular circumstance and culture, but
I love, one of the things I like so much about the things I've done with you is I like that sense of pulling energy from the earth and pulling it through your body and going through organ by organ and then up and then maybe back down. I love that makes you concentrate so much, that visualization of pulling the
yeah,
energy.
I didn't say it at the beginning because I wanted there to be time for us to talk. But that thing I do in the very beginning of this, that's also a teaching exercise, because what that is the way the Taoists believe conception happens. So first, sperm meets egg, and that's the life force from the earth, which then forms like a pattern because you get a zygote. And then they believe that the soul, the immortal part, comes down and incarnates. And as it enters the solar system, that's what forms your astrological chart is, each soul takes on the energies of the planets and the moon, depending on when they're born and all of that. And then it comes down. So what we're really describing is incarnation. One other way to end this exercise that I do in my Monday classes often is we do the fusion of the 5 elements, which is an exercise intended to teach people how to die in a way where instead of letting the 2 lower bodies fall back to the earth and the upper bodies rise up and out, you collapse them all into the immortal yang body of light, and you become an immortal. So that's part of the Taoist, and the Vedic tradition has that as well.
Yeah, so I know, because we do have the what we call the shavasana, where you actually kind of pretend to be kind of looking down at your body from a higher place.
Yes.
So that, but I wanted to ask you, Althea, like, so when we were doing the meditation, and I went down on the ground, I thought I'll just sit down cross-legged and that might be more comfortable. And then eventually I was lying down. But at different points, as we went through the breaths and through the different organs and focusing on different aspects of it, I felt a change in my body temperature. Like, it kind of went from feeling warm to cold to all right again. And, I feel like I'm kind of now coming out of that little cycle of, hot, cold kind of a thing. Is that something that usually happens during this?
Yeah. It can happen a lot. And it's interesting to observe when stuff is happening. Like, when you move into cold areas or you start to feel cold, you may be transforming, needing to release a particular area where, you've become devitalized. And then the heat should come back up as you transform it. But people do report that.
Okay.
So, and temperature changes can happen anyhow, just because, as you go into a deeper trance state, often the body cools, which is why it's important to be dressed somewhat warmly,
Okay.
because
Wow.
otherwise it brings you out,
Yeah.
that it's a fun exercise. So I would encourage you to try doing it. It's really
Yeah.
easy.
Yeah, and I think, and I'm so glad we are recording this because like you, and I know we had spoken and you had mentioned that the sound when you say it, those make a lot of difference.
Yes. Yeah. And in fact, the best thing to do initially is just do the recording, pretend I'm in the room talking to you again, just until you get the hang of it. Also, for any of you who are interested, I have a class. It's currently Zoom. Monday mornings. It's a free class. And what we're doing are these practices. It's usually it's a small group of us, but you're welcome to join. If you have any interest, just email me and I'll send you a link. But it's kind of fun, and I am starting to record them. I haven't quite. I'm sort of not a genius when it comes to this tech stuff, so I'm trying to figure out how to make those recordings accessible. But although
We're all figuring that out, Althea, as we speak. So.
Yeah. So, and also I have a number of these are on my website, Transformational Techniques, and they're available as free downloads too. Like the one that you and I used to do, Allison, the middle pillar.
Oh, okay.
I have a pretty good version of that, and I have.
I'd like to do that again too.
Yeah, that's a fun one. And that's a little, I almost did that one tonight, but then I thought, the Hebrew is a little bit tricky the first time you do it. There are those who use long Hebrew names. And the nice thing about the Taoists is the sounds are simple.
I was wondering the first sound when you're doing ha, and when you start out before it gets lighter and a little more humorous, it sounds so martial arts.
Yes, yes. Yeah, because it's the fierceness of fire. But of course, fire is in Chinese medicine, fire is about passion. It's about connection. It's about, being connected to yourself, being connected to, the cosmos, that sort of thing. But all martial arts are so martial arts in the Taoist language, it's called Weidan, meaning it's the external energetic arts. And this work that we were just doing is called Neidan, meaning internal energetic work. So there's that distinction between Neidan and Weidan. But Weidan, so Tai Chi is interesting because it's both.
Oh,
Tai Chi is a martial art,
Yeah.
but it's also an internal art as well.
Okay. I think it's also so slow, you have to balance. So you need that internal balance as well to actually do some of those exercises.
Yes. It's fascinating to watch. but it is actually martial art. I studied with a guy called Stuart. Now I'm blanking on his last name, Master Shi Lai. Anyway, he's the lineage holder of Chen Manqing, who brought Tai Chi to the West. And he's a little tiny guy, like my size. I'm like, 5 feet. And he could like toss some huge 6'4" guy across the room, and it would look like he just brushed him. It was just, it was really interesting. It's really Stuart Olson. I knew it would come to me if I didn't struggle. So.
Althea, when we're doing the meditation, the sounds that you were making, should we kind of copy it, or it's just about listening?
Oh no, best to do it. Make the sound yourself. You want that sound resonating in your field.
Got you. Okay.
Yeah. So, like if we're in class, we all make it together. Okay. So, you don't have to be listening to me, just, and feel free too to play with the sound. Sometimes you might want to make it longer or shorter or, higher or lower. It really doesn't matter. The best thing to do is get out of your own way and let your voice do what it wants.
It's about vibrations too, right? Because every time you're doing a certain sound, you're creating certain types of energetic vibrations.
Yes, that's absolutely true. And I don't know whether the Taoists talk about it, but certainly in the West, we do talk about the fact that certain sounds, certain consonants, have certain kinds of energies. And I think we all know that. So fricatives, for example, the F sound, typically is used when people are wanting to express aggravation or irritation, that's like, and, and then shh is inherently calming, and so, but vibration is important. And when you're making sounds, let them vibrate in you through your organs, And the other thing I want to say before we finish is this is, primarily used to clear our emotional bodies. However, you can also use it for physical illness. So for example, if you get a bad cold and you're coughing your head off, make the lung sound, image the color white, strengthen that system, and it will have a physical impact as well.
Okay.
That's good. Good to know.
So when you could kind of actually pick up certain parts and kind of actually do them separately as well.
Yes. Completely. Yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It is interesting, but I often tell people, work with that. Something is happening.
Something is happening, yeah.
Yeah.
Something is happening, yeah. Oh, I don't know. Oh, there's a dog. We have an echo.
Unknown vibrations.
Yeah. Start doing stuff. The universe starts talking to you.
This is just so interesting, yeah.
Anybody else have any questions or?
I don't.
So interesting.
Thank you. It was very, very good. Very relaxing.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, this was actually very relaxing. Thank you so much, Althea. I know we've all been looking forward to this. And
Well, it's my pleasure, and anytime.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I'll be seeing you soon. I'm getting some more.
Have a glass of wine. That'll
It's medically prescribed. Acupuncture.
when medicine and herbalists join hands, wine.
also like.
Yeah. Sorry, but it's a shame that's on. But Well, maybe we'll be able to catch up with you another time. What time is your Monday?
Call
I'm-
Scrooge.
I don't know if we're gonna get, what time is your Monday thing that you
Oh,
do?
good. Monday it's in the morning.
What time?
8 in the morning.
Okay, well, that's not too bad.
No, it isn't. And yeah, so it's and like I said, usually I'm starting to feel which come in at any time, really.
Okay. That'd be a good thing to do. Well, it sounds like we're losing our sound.
Yeah. It's kind of breaking up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
Thank you so much, Althea. We've really had a wonderful time. A little bit longer and you would have heard me snore.
Okay.
She just feels so relaxed.
Yeah. It's calming in a very interesting way.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
So
Yes.
thank you so much, everyone, for joining. And thanks a lot, Althea. The way the video is going. Bye.
I'll be on the phone.